Today I'm looking at this Mazda Bongo, not sure of the year because they're all imported, and I've got a fault code. I've got the flash code, can't use a scan tool on this. I got a 0200 and a 1228, so wastegate solenoid and EGR. When I looked at what they meant, 30 ohms of resistance across the solenoid. Now I know this is the one for the wastegate because I can follow the hose back to here. We've got this piece going in on this side, so this would be the inlet, right? This would be the inlet side. Looking at this, no, this is the outlet side. I'm just wondering what this second one is. This is the one going to here. The outlet goes on there. And then what we would probably see is a change in the vacuum. So this one that's teed off will change its reading on the pressure sensor, so it'll know if this activated or not. This side here just vents to the air. The side that I'm on, that just vents to the air. That's going down there. So I have checked this, and I put vacuum on the side that vents to the air, right here. And I powered it up with the power probe across the pins, and when I did, I got vacuum on there. As soon as I pressed the power probe, the button on it to give it power, and I touched it with the little alligator clamp on the other pin, the vacuum went on here. So I know that the solenoid can work electronically. We've got to see why it's not. So looks like it would have this vacuum in here, and this is like teed into it, and it looks like what it does is vents off the vacuum, so it's not pulling on this. So I can test the other side, but yeah, this vent side of it, that passed the test when I went on to here, but that hose just goes down to there. So I would say that hose here, this one that's off, that just goes down into the atmosphere, some kind of funnel on the end of it, unless that funnel's blocked. Maybe that's worth a check. I'll try that, see if that funnel's blocked. Could be. And then we're going to check that we actually get vacuum from the engine on this side. But this valve's working, it is venting out to the atmosphere when we energize this. Now I only did that quickly, pressing the button, give it power quick, and that went down, because these things are never on and stay on, they're pulsed on. So I don't want to burn out the windings on something that's actually okay. So I'm going to see, my next test is, do we have vacuum on this side, and if I give this vacuum, can I make the actuator move? Now I've moved my vacuum pump, and I've got vacuum on here, 25 inches of mercury. It's going into this wastegate, but it's not moved at all. It's still in the same place. So I'm into this pipe that this one would come off here. It's like some kind of tank that holds a vacuum reservoir. So you got the vacuum coming in from the engine here. Some kind of tank, accumulator, and that's holding it here. I've just taken it off the tank and put my vacuum gauge on. So in theory it should be going all the way through there and pulling on that, but it's not making the wastegate move. And I've got vacuum. So I let the vacuum off, and you see that doesn't move one way or the other. I can easily move it, well, not much. It might be seized. So my next check is to check that pipe at another place. Figure out what's going on. We know this works if it gets power, but I don't know if the van is giving it its own power and controlling it by itself. We also want to check that there's a change on here. When I give that vacuum, does this pin change? I'll check that now. Whilst this is connected, I'll put the ignition on, find the signal wire on here, and give this vacuum and see if I get a change, so that we know that this is working. Now I'm on this position sensor. I just chose one at random, center pin. I got 2.6 volts. And when I give this vacuum, like loads of vacuum, that stays the same. So I think we've got some kind of blockage in the vacuum system, or that sensor's faulty. Again, that's not moving there. And balance that, everything keeps falling off on me. I lost the end to this as well. The case broke in the back of the van, so I'm just shoving the pipe on like that. But if I do give this vacuum like that, I don't get any change. 2.6. I don't have a wiring diagram. So it's all done by just looking at what something is and treating it as you would treat a 3-wire position sensor, power ground, and I haven't checked the others. Let's just do that. So you got a ground. We go into that one. The door just swung back and hit me when I was talking then. Go into that one, and it goes green. We go into this one and put that back on there, and we're right about 5 volts. See that? 5 volts. Don't know if you can see it. So we were right by going for this one, but we know that there's no change when I give this vacuum on this pipe. And I was just assuming that's a T-piece, and I still do think it is, but I'll go into the other pipe and see what's going on with that. Okay, back onto this. I've changed it from this hose to that one. You see it's got the tiniest little hole. That tiny little orifice in the center. So that must be deliberate to slow down the vacuum pull. And when I did that, moved the wastegate actuator. I can let the pressure off here, and I'll press that. When I press this, you'll see that it goes back a little bit. Not much, but also when I pump this up, I'll do it again. Pull a big vacuum. So it's not reading the position of the travel of the wastegate, it's reading the vacuum, kind of like a map sensor, and that's now dropped to 1.6. So we know the sensor's okay, and we know this bit can work, but it's just not passing the vacuum through there for some reason. It's blocked internally. So there we go, that's that one done, diagnosed. This should flow right through there and be pulling on that, and it's not. It should be able to pull it the same as this. It's not, so we need one of these solenoids, so I can write down the part number on there and get one ordered. So that was one test. I've also got a fault for the EGR wastegate. I mean the EGR, we've just done the wastegate. I've got the EGR to test when I find out where that solenoid is. I think it's on the other side. But that's it. Diagnosed using kind of no directions, no wiring diagram. I've got nothing on these imports, but at least I came out, had a look at it, gave it a go. I'll show you how I got the flash codes. We could go through that in case you're wondering. Over here is my plug, and if we look, this, usually you see it the other way up in pictures, but I've gone from the ground wire, to the bottom one where we've got the gap in the middle. It's the one just to the left of the gap. Right, bridge them together. The one that's in the second row up, all the way to the right, gets bridged to the one that's just to the left of the gap on the very bottom row. Okay, you bridge. That's me knocking stuff over. So you bridge them together. I'll just show you how we did it. Show you how I got the fault codes. This is me going to bridge it just now, right? In fact, I'll set it up and show you the glow plug light, because that's the bit that flashes and gives us the code. Of course, the fan's started. I'll just put the ignition on. Oh, that's handy. The fan's gone out now. See, that's on. So ignore the first flash. And there's nothing. Nothing at all. So I don't know if... there we go. On. One flash. On. 2. So I got 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. On. Ignore that long pause. That long pulse. 2 more. 2 quick ones. So we've got 0. I think that was 2, 2. I'm going to have to do it again. I'll go for it again with you. Let's just do it again. Let's count. So we'll start again. Here we go. Forget those pulses. It's going to start again. After the long pause, it starts again. So what we've got to do is write it down. Right? Forget the one that stays on for a while. It's what happens after that. In this case, nothing. So that would be a 0. Then it's back on with 1, 2. So we've got 0, 2, 3. I should count it instead of trying to talk at the same time. I'll do that. I'll start it again so we see. Right. There we go, it's going to start again. Forget the long one, you count the ones after that. So you forget the long one, that was 1. Okay, long one, then 1, 2. So we've got a 1, 2, we need some more digits. 1, 2, 2, right? And then forget the long one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. So we had, if you put those numbers together, we've got a 1228. That's where I got my code, the 1228. So it's like a P1228. Then it'll go on to the next code, which will be the 400 code. See the 4? Right, that was the 4. Then we get the long 1, then nothing. So there's a 0. Long 1 and nothing. That's another 0. So that's where we got the 400 for the EGR valve. So that's how I got the codes anyway. You see electronically we have some kind of on-off control of this valve, so that's good. The other side's just power all the time. Although with it running, we are managing to pull a bit more of a vacuum than I did with my hand pump, probably because we've got greater vacuum, and it is actually moving that a little bit. Not as much as I did with the vacuum pump directly on that hose, but it has moved a bit. So I would say maybe I've freed something off, I don't know, but change it anyway since it's not happy with it. I think how we clear the fault codes is by disconnecting the battery. I'm sure that's how we do it. I just got to check the other valve on it, on the EGR. So yeah, it is slightly different now. If I go into that and change that to that screen, put that on there, we're right at 1.9. So it is working. Doing something it wasn't doing before, so happy with that. I'd still recommend changing it, the valve. We know this works. We can see a range change when I give it vacuum and don't give it vacuum. Not much of a range though. It's not a huge range, just a little bit, but there we go. So it knows this is working if it sees a change on here. So if I turn it off, it may well, if I turn it off, it may well go back to the 2.8 that we were at before. I'll just try that. So if we try this 2.8, that's what it was before. Switch off. I might have to put the key back on, thinking about it, so that it can give us a reading. Okay, let's just shut the door on me. Let's see what we have here. 2.7. So that's working. That's working. Almost just need to clear the fault code. Unless the range on this isn't what it should be. We give that more of a range, you know. But it only went between 1.6 to 2.6, and with it running it's at 1.9. So it might just be the range that it works at. So I wouldn't condemn anything based on that. I was saying this one's got a restriction in it because it's not pulling it as far with the engine and a vacuum pump as I could with my hand pump when I was going the other side of this. So it might be that there is some restriction in this valve. I'll just go and test the other one. I've also got an airbag that's got a 6. It's flashing the airbag 6 times when you put the ignition on. So I'm going to do a quick Google search on that one and see what that means. Working without a scan tool or wiring diagrams, it's sometimes not worth doing it, to be fair. But I did bring my scan tool hoping it would work, and it didn't work on this. I had a launch that I used to use, and I'm sure I got that to work on one in the past. Did the exact same test on a car about 7 years ago, when I still lived in Scotland. This one, it's a bit different. Same thing, I can't remember the test on the other one. I think this was totally blocked on the other test that I did. Totally blocked. But when you see how small that hole is, it must be easy to block it. So, yeah, maybe that's all it is. New one of those is going to help it. Okay, I'll look up the code 6 on the airbag and see if there's anything I can show you there. I think the EGR is just going to be basically the same thing again. We've got some hoses on the other side, some solenoids, some vacuum hoses on the other side. The dog keeps slamming on my wires and stuff, so you see you've got a bunch of solenoids here. And one there as well. Need to find out which one's which. Which one's going to the EGR. It looks like somebody's already done the glow plugs. So somebody's done a bit of work on it. I'll have a look into it and get back to you if I've got any more to say. Right, I'm back on the other side of the car now. And when I looked under here, I got these solenoids. And I've got 2 hoses. 3 hoses if you include this one. But this one only goes up and round and goes into this air filter trunk. So we're not going to use that one. We've got 2 hoses here. There's another solenoid down here. Going in a total different direction, so I'm going to ignore that one. We know the EGR's up here because I could see it with my light. EGR valve, just see a bit of it. So we've got 2 hoses, don't know which one's which. 2 solenoids. One might be for the EGR flow, and the other one might be to divert it through the cooler or not through the cooler. So, what do I have here? Quite a lot of stuff. So let me just do a resistance check on this, because I don't think this one's showing. This one's not showing me that it's got a position sensor. I might have to move my car. I think I've parked my van in somebody's space. One sec. I'd say there's your problem. Let me just press this so it lights up again. I'm trying to hold these wires onto the solenoid, right, with one hand whilst film with the other. There we go. I had a bit of a reading before, but right now it's showing me nothing. Yeah, I can't get it to show me anything. It's awkward with one hand. Right, do that. Do that. Yeah, there we go. It's like 39 milliohms though. So we'll class that as open circuit. We need one of those. That's the EGR fault right there. And that's a circuit fault, so if it doesn't have a position sensor, which it might do further up, I don't know. Kind of like the other one, using a vacuum. But if it's not got one of those, that's not going to work anyway. I could power it up and test it, just to be sure, but I don't think that's going to work. So I got into the bottom hose with the vacuum pump, pulled a vacuum with this, and it's holding it. And when I touch this power scan on here, if I give this power and activate that, do we lose the vacuum? Actually, I don't think we're going to, because that's not lighting up green, and it should light up green if it's got continuity, so it means the solenoid windings aren't intact. There, pressed it. I only did it quick, but that stayed the same. So there's a problem, need a solenoid. And that also explains why if it's not got a position sensor, it's realised there's a fault, because it's an open circuit. So I'll get the part number off that. I'm going to check the other one as well, but I would at least go for that one. And then see if we can clear the fault codes. The other one was working a little slow, but it was doing something. But this one's definitely faulty, it's open circuit. So code 6 for the airbag, actually didn't have to show it anything out, that just flashes all the time, 6 flashes. said it was the driver's airbag circuit. So what I've done is remove the driver's airbag. Wasn't a big job, 2 screws, 10mm headed bolts. I mean, this one I do have to put an old cable tie or a new cable tie to separate. There's a piece of metal joins the 2 pins together. You have to slide that in first before you do the resistance check, otherwise it will just be 0. So that just goes between this piece of metal at the bottom that joins the 2 pins together. Anyway, that airbag's fine, so it's more likely to be the clock spring that's the fault. So what I could do, let's go to the other end of this. I'll take this out of the way, check the wiring, and go to the other end. Usually it's the yellow wire. I'll find another connection. So I've got before the clock spring and after the clock spring. So I'm going to see where that joins it in and check it further down and see what the resistance is. Now if I plug this back in, we should know that we'll get the 2.6 or whatever it was. I'll write that down. Airbag 2.6 ohms. I always make notes as I go along so I don't go in circles. And I'll get back to you with what I find. I put it together. I got the same 2.4 ohms. When I checked it lower down here, going through the steering wheel, it's all clicked back together, bolted back on, but that light stopped flashing. It's not flashing the code 6, it's reset itself, which makes me think there may be something intermittent in the clock spring. I'll make a note of that part number in case that's what I need. And for the future I might need that. But for now it's out, and I have turned the steering side to side and it stayed out. So there's my report. This one was more me having fun. I almost walked away when my scan tool didn't do it, but I was still able to give him a reason why the lights are on, using the code flash idea that they've got. An interesting idea once you get your head around it, what it's saying, and paying attention to what the flashes are and not talking at the same time. And it pointed me to a direction, and both those parts that it came up with have been suspect. And this one, the flash on there, that was the airbag flash 6 times. Just turn it off and back on. See, it comes on, the airbag right in the corner there. After a while it goes off, and it started to flash 6 flashes, then 6 flashes, and 6. I kept doing it, but that stopped doing that now, just from me taking this apart. So sometimes I need to do a Google search to see what the code equates to. These codes there, oddly enough, are the same as OBD2, so it kind of helped before. The digits that I had for the engine, it worked, even though it's not OBD2, or maybe it is, but it's just the way it connects. But it doesn't have a 16-pin connector, so this is what's led me to all this. Anyway, hopefully this is helpful to somebody. How to diagnose. If I get a fix, I could show it. Otherwise, I might just load this anyway, show you that sometimes, yeah, you could either walk away or you spend a little bit of time on it. And in this case, I spent a time because I was interested on it. And I didn't have all day, though, if I wasn't going to get anywhere. Hopefully it's helpful to somebody. Thanks for watching.